Talk about that decision during the trial, him not testifying.
That's his decision. It's not my decision. It was a decision of the trial team, including Mr. Savage and Ms. McPhail. And I think that you got a taste of why he shouldn't have testified. It was a bad idea for him to testify based upon his allocution during the clemency hearing, how bad that was. He was a multiple convicted felon. He had a bunch of unadjudicated crimes that could have been cross-examined that we successfully had kept out of the guilt and innocence stage of the death penalty case. But to go back to my original point, it's up to the client. If he would have wanted to take the stand, we would have happily put him on the stand and let him tell his story. In any proceeding, any American courtroom, it is the choice of the client, and it is not. It doesn't have anything to do with the lawyers. If asked, the lawyers will give advice on whether they should take the stand or not. He was always given the chance to answer your question, to testify, but chose not to, and wisely chose not to. And I think the commutation or the clemency hearing bears that out.
Mm-hmm. And what were your thoughts about what he said at the clemency hearing?
I thought it was a complete catastrophe. Obviously, the Pardon and Parole Board is a fix for Julius Jones. He did not need to give his allocution, to speak to the board. They were going to do what they were going to do. They had made their mind up long before even the clemency hearing. So, why put him on the stand to look foolish, or allow him to allocute to look foolish? And I've never seen anybody take a nosedive like Julius Jones did in that hearing. I mean, it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal.
If someone is out there and they are a Julius Jones supporter, what would you say to them?
I say keep supporting him. Keep supporting him, but don't be blindly led by people. Form your own opinion based upon the transcript, because it is out in the public domain. Don't believe Kim Kardashian or John Legend or any of these Baker Mayfield, any of these celebrities who have not read the transcript either. There are valid claims of innocence. Unfortunately, Team Arizona has not hit a damn one of them.
How have you talked to the Howe family in the past?
No, I have not. No, I've never talked to the Howe family. No.
Okay. If you could, what would you say to them?
I would say, I'm sorry for your loss. I would say that I feel very responsible that the last offenses, that show took the course that it took, because I think I gave them fodder to come up with something. And I say that chronologically because they didn't know where they were going to go at the first time they interviewed me. But I talked about, I didn't feel like I did a very good job, and I still don't feel like I did a very good job cross-examining Christopher Jordan. But did that make or break their case? They didn't need Christopher Jordan. What got Julius Jones was the collective evidence against him. But more particularly, if you're going to point your finger at something, his girlfriend, Annalise Presley, just absolutely destroyed him. And there was just a lot of things that a lot of dominoes to knock down. And we don't know what we knocked down and what we didn't knock down. But we didn't knock down enough, if any, to get an acquittal. We were in the game. We fought hard. It was hotly litigated. We did the very best we could under the circumstances. I've read the transcript recently, and it was a hard-fought trial. And I'm not really seeing the ineffectiveness that I thought may have been there years ago when I when I wrote affidavits, and I wrote a couple of them with regard to my performance. Could I have done better with Chris Jordan? Yes. But you take him out of the mix, you still get a conviction. It struck me over the last few months about the conduct of Bass and Bache, especially when hearing about the New York State Bar had suspended Rudy Giuliani for his lack of candor to the public with regard to election fraud in his representation of Donald Trump. And that it impressed upon me that we have a duty to not only be truthful and have a degree of candor absolute degree of candor to the tribunal, but when we talk to the public, that we act fairly and without telling half-truths or lies or anything like that. And it's very obvious that the Team Arizona, Bache and Bass have not followed that duty of candor, and that's unfortunate. I worry that when people do read the transcript and do look at that in juxtaposition to what these lawyers have said, that it's going to give us a bad name. And I think Amy will speak up for us that we're not all bad guys, and we do tell the truth. There are some bad ones out there who will mislead and use smoke and mirrors to try to get what they want. And those two are a couple of them. And so is Rudy Giuliani. And it's unfortunate when the truth would have helped them help Julius Jones.
I think a lot of people have said, you even said it, David, that they had made up their mind before they walked in. Why do you feel that? And what were your thoughts on the overall hearing?
Well, I thought that for a number of reasons. The easiest is that they had this clemency hearing. And they'd already given their opinions, and it was obvious that they weren't listening during that. But even setting that aside, let's assume that I misinterpreted that. The TED talk of the chair of the board, the retweeting of Kim Kardashian's statement about Julius Jones, those kind of things. If you were a judge, it would disqualify you from being a judge in the case. If you were a potential juror, it would disqualify you from sitting in a case. So it was obvious, very obvious, that the fix was in. And to the legal community here in the state of Oklahoma, the whole thing was a farce and something we all laughed at. And just kind of a, woo, what do you think is going to happen today kind of thing. And it's as a practicing lawyer in the state of Oklahoma, and I practice in other states as well, but it makes us look bad. That clemency hearing made us look bad because, yes, they should have recused. David Prater was right. General O'Connor was right. Let's get some people in there that don't have the appearance of impropriety, but theirs was more than the appearance of impropriety. It was improper. And, nobody, I'm an old athlete, and I certainly wouldn't want to win a game based upon a cheating referee. There's no sport in that. And there was no sport in that hearing, or either of those hearings. So it was kind of a waste of time. And I was very disturbed, especially in the clemency hearing, the dismissive nature in which they treated the Howell family. I was embarrassed by that for my state. I was embarrassed by that for my legal community. And while I advocate for Mr. Jones, I certainly thought that the Howell family, I know the Howell family deserves respect and to be treated with honor. And to be treated like that was shameful. And those people should hang their head and be ashamed of what they did when Mr. Howell's brother attempted to give those questions to Mr. Luck and he waved him off. That made me want to retch.